Informed, outspoken, wild, fearless. This is the Fantasy Football Dudes Podcast.
Welcome to Fantasy Football Dudes Podcast, guys. This is Trent. I am joined by Phil, Jordan, and Seth. Today's episode, we are going to go over the consensus ESPN rankings here, the top 22. We're going to talk about who belongs here, who doesn't belong here, all that good stuff. But before we do that, I am going to give us a quick word from our sponsors today over at Trophy Smack. Trophy Smack is the absolute best place if you're looking for some fantasy football trophies. Last place trophies, first place trophies, bust of Patrick Mahomes. They've even got some nice wrestling singlets that say some, not so nice things about fantasy football. But guys, everything you need for your fantasy football league, head over to trophysmack.com/dudes. 15% off your whole entire order, guys. Go over to Trophy Smack. Tell them the dude sent you. You won't be sorry. You got to have a trophy for that fantasy football league. Kind of guys that you're kind of looking at going like, I'm not quite sure if this guy should be on here. Puka Nacua, 8th overall guy on ESPN right now. Wide receiver 6. Like, guys, I think I'd rather take I think I'm taking Bijan Robinson over Puka Nacua. Like, what running backs are you willing to take over Bijan Robinson in this first round draft? I'll share the post here again with what we got here. Puka at 8. Is there anyone after Puka that you're like absolutely slam dunk taking before Puka?
Garrett Wilson, maybe.
Yeah, I would say Garrett Wilson too. Garrett Wilson, AJ Brown. I'm taking AJ Brown over Puka. I think I take Bijan over. I don't see Puka, but it's too high.
What about Saquon at 11? Like, that's fringe second round right there. How are we thinking about Saquon? New home at the Eagles. We think this is a running back 4 on the spot there.
I think it's fine.
Fine. Yeah.
I think it's good.
Breece Hall at 4 overall is just, I don't know. And maybe when I go do my rankings, it will actually make sense. But just off the top of my head, it seems too high. I think I have Jamar Chase over Breece Hall.
I don't know, man. Like,
and Amon-Ra over Breece Hall too.
You take Amon-Ra over Breece?
Mm-hmm.
See, I don't know. I think I'm pretty high on Breece Hall because, like, look at what Breece Hall did last year, and maybe it's the same thing this year. Look at what he did last year without a quarterback, right? He could, like, if he has Rodgers that can kind of, spread things out a little bit, I think he should be able to have a lot better fantasy season this year. It's be hard to be a lot better, but last year he finished as running back. What do we got here? Last year he finished as running back 3 with all the pressure being on him off of the big knee injury. I think that I wouldn't be surprised if Breece Hall is running back 1 this season. If I'm being honest, like, I don't think Christian McCaffrey repeats as running back 1 because guys just don't do that. They don't go. Who was the last running back to go 1 back to back? Like, usually there's an injury or something. I'm not putting Christian McCaffrey as my 101 first guy off the draft board this year, even though he was last year. So you would take McCaffrey over Breece Hall, Jordan?
Yes.
Seth?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Phil, you
Yeah.
CMC still?
Yeah, I would. Jordan, let me ask you a question. ETN is at 17 right now. He finished at running back 3. Maybe I'm jumping ahead. He finished as running back 3 last year. Overall, he finished at 21. Do you think he finishes just at set? Let's just say he's finishing at 17. Don't you think you wouldn't be embarrassed if you picked him up a little bit earlier, right? Like over Saquon as an example. Or even Jonathan Taylor.
I don't think I take him over Saquon. I don't know. I'm slightly worried that
tell me why. Tell me why. If he had such a high finish last year.
There's been some coach speak, and you can take that for what it's worth, but talking about getting Tank Bigsby more involved this year, not wanting to decrease Travis Etienne's workload, make sure he's healthy the whole entire year. So there has been some talk of kind of his workload not being what it was last year, and that Doug Peterson's mentioned that they think they overused him last year throughout the year, relied on him a little too much. So that's talk. And I don't know exactly what it means. maybe it means nothing, maybe it means something. I feel like Doug Peterson's not a guy who really plays games though with the media. I feel he kind of just says it how it is, and what he thinks. And maybe he thinks that right now, and maybe he won't think that in week 10 when you're trying to win football games. But I do think Etienne's workload is going to be a little bit less to start the year.
Like, I think if I'm looking at this right now, just looking at running backs, I think my running backs shooting from the hip right now, I think I'm going Breece Hall, Bijan Robinson as my 1 and 2. And 3, I got to think about it a little bit more here. But I'm going Breece Hall, Bijan. Then I think CMC would be my top 3. Are we ready to buy the Bijan hype this year? Like, I think that'd be good. You have the old Rams, guy who worked with the Rams right there, McVay, where they, usually give the ball to just one guy. I think Bijan is in a really good spot right here. I'm a huge Bijan advocate right now. I think he is way too low at this list, being 9 overall. Like, if I have Bijan come to me in a draft in the first round, it's be very hard passing on him. Like, who are some guys you guys are taking over Bijan on this list? I guess it'd be a better question.
On this list?
If
By running backs or overall?
Just altogether, just overall. Like, if Bijan, like, guys you're taking ahead of him. Would you take Jamar Chase or Bijan Robinson?
I'm going to tell you right now. Christian McCaffrey, CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, A.J. Brown. That's probably where the list ends for me.
Okay.
I don't know. So we're talking like I'm always big time wide receiver guy. I'm going to take wide receivers. Yeah. I am not sure where I stand on the Bijan Breece Hall. I'm still firmly on CMC as running back 1 in that scheme with Shanahan. I think it's gonna. I don't know if he's number 1 overall, but I think he's RB1 for sure. I think this is you, Trent. Honestly, I think this is you just wanting something different. I think this is your heart kind of getting ahead of your brain a little bit here with this CMC
heart getting ahead of my brain. I think that CMC, I had CMC carry me in the leagues last year. Like, I know,
CMC. But you keep talking about how like you don't want him to be, and you want Breece Hall and you want Bijan. I think this is you wanting Breece Hall and Bijan to be that more than. You understand what I'm saying? I think you are.
I get what you're saying. I just think you're wrong with it, because I don't think, like, who's the last running back that went back-to-back 1 and 1? You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't happen. Like, these guys.
Are we talking about? I'm not carries. 1 overall or RB1?
RB1. I think the guy you want to take 1 overall should be the guy you think is going to finish 1 overall. And if you don't think a guy's going to finish 1 overall,
I didn't say CMC 1 overall. I clearly just said. I don't think CMC will be 1 overall. I said I think he will be RB1 though.
Okay, I don't think he's gonna be RB1. I think Breece Hall and I think Bijan are gonna pass him this year. I think he's getting
neither
old.
Neither of those guys have the receiving upside that CMC has.
Look,
and neither of them play. And
Bijan does, Jordan.
Yeah,
no, he doesn't.
Absolutely does.
No,
yes.
he does not. No, he does not.
I don't think
he does not have. He does not have the receiving upside that CMC has.
He could catch. CMC is a great, route tree, stuff like that. But Bijan is a threat catching the ball.
Yeah.
I'm not saying not a threat. He doesn't have the receiving upside. Upside is the
his
word
one-handed catch that was behind him and the stuff he does?
That has nothing to do with the amount of volume they're going to see. It's all about volume and upside and touchdown upside. And neither of those running backs play for Mike Shanahan, who has historically been probably the best coach for running back to play for. He's in the best running back scheme possible. And he's on a better team than probably the Jets and the Falcons. They're going to be up in more games that leads to more running back volume. And I'm not sure that Breece Hall has the same touchdown upside with Aaron Rodgers on the field that he did last year without Aaron Rodgers.
Like, what was the touchdown upside? Like, how many TDs did Breece Hall have last year? Like, I feel like the Jets might have scored 1 TD a game. Like, I feel like Breece Hall, like, carried that whole team throughout the whole entire season to, like, scrap the couple wins they had. Like, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be better for Breece Hall.
He had nine total touchdowns.
Okay. So,
I mean, but Trent, like, I guess what I'm saying is, like, like 5 touchdowns isn't very much, but like where's touchdowns gonna come? We know Aaron Rodgers likes to throw the ball at the goal line. It's what
Way
he
better
does.
offensive line too. Way
Who?
improved at New York Jets. They got Tyron Smith, and I believe their offensive line was all beat up last year too, and they signed someone else.
Yeah, I don't see. I think the Breece Hall. I think you are wanting Breece Hall to be more than what he is, but that's why we do this thing. We disagree. It's fine.
Anyone else on this list, like CD Lamb versus Tyreek Hill? Anyone doing that? I did that last week in a best ball draft. Is there anyone on here that would do that? You know, Tyreek Hill with Tua. It's a pretty good tandem right there. Also on here, what, Jordan?
I think Amon-Ra is too low. I think Amon-Ra is clearly over Justin Jefferson for me.
Really? You're going to move him up?
That's too.
Yeah.
Well, he finished above him this past year, right? But Justin Jefferson got hurt.
I think a lot of people are banking on McCarthy being able to get Justin Jefferson the ball.
I don't. Yeah, if you're a JJ McCarthy guy, then it makes sense. But I've stated my opinion here. I don't think JJ McCarthy's any good. So I'm going to lower Justin Jefferson based on that.
Would you raise Amon-Ra above Jamar Chase? Are you willing to go that crazy? Because I think Jamison Williams is going to take a little bit from Amon-Ra too. Amon-Ra is a beast, but I think Jamison Williams is going to get more involved since he's going to be there the whole season. It's not going to be like last year where he just, got to the dance a little late and, forgot to come with a date. Like, I think Jamison Williams is going to be a lot more involved this year with, and Laporta's good too. Like, Chase, I know, is Burrow's boy, but are you willing to put Amon-Ra above Chase? Or do you think that's the right? So your wide receivers rankings right now would be, who's your one then?
TBD. I can't give it all away right now, Trent.
Okay. So
I just gave my whole running back rankings. I can't get all my wide receiver rankings.
Do you think Tyreek Hill or Amon-Ra St. Brown? I'm just trying to see where you kind of have them right now.
Tyreek for sure.
Tyreek over Amon-Ra. CD Lamb for sure over Amon-Ra. Then you think it's Amon-Ra right in that spot, and Jamar Chase, like you're not sure?
I think I'll just say it. I think it's Tyreek, CD, Jamar Chase, Amon-Ra, maybe Justin Jefferson. It gets a little hairy starting around there.
Can I take us back to the Bijan Christian McCaffrey receiving?
Sure, go back
numbers?
To it.
Just as a quick heads up, receiving for Bijan, 86 targets, 487 yards. He had 58 receptions. Christian McCaffrey last year had 67 receptions and 83 targets. So, like with Kirk Cousins,
how many yards? How many yards?
Okay, Bijan had 487 and Christian McCaffrey had 564.
How many touchdowns?
That's where the biggest difference lies. But he's also getting passes thrown to him by a quarterback who you have said multiple times on this podcast is absolutely terrible. So you don't think with an adequate
for
how many how many touchdowns? Answer the question. How many touchdowns?
It was one. It was 4 to 7.
Yeah, upside. That's what I'm talking about. Upside. Like,
so with a legitimate quarterback, you don't think he can make up that ground? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. In a running back who's in year 2 versus a running back who is in year 8, 9.
It's possible.
I just don't think it's as far-fetched as you're making it sound. If you just actually take a look at the stats, it's not as far-fetched as you make it sound. And honestly, both you and Seth were clowning on us, and I just slapped you in the face with some stats.
Yeah,
you guys might want
a virtual slap.
My internet might be bad, but both of you guys are fools. That's all I'm saying. You guys take a look at the stats.
Yeah, speaking of bad internet, here's a Lego set that Seth built a couple weeks ago. Head over to YouTube at tffdudes. It's a nice little cat Lego here Seth put together. It took him a really long time. Remember, don't be weird. Share the dudes. Really helps us out, guys. We really appreciate everyone that recommends us to friends, guys. So don't be rude. Share the dudes. Really helps us out. Give us a like. Give us a sub. We really appreciate it. Follow us at tffdudes and then head over to trophysmack.com/dudes. 15% off your whole entire order. What else we got here on this list, guys?
Hold on. No. I'm going to,
fine.
Bill wants to come at me. I'm going to come right back.
No, hold on. You didn't let me talk about the rushing stat.
No.
Let me finish. Okay.
I
Receiving
left the rushing
upside for
stats out
CMC.
for the reason.
In 2022, CMC had 85 catches for 741 yards, 5 touchdowns. You think Bijan has that type of receiving upside?
Sorry, you're saying what year?
In 2022,
Yep.
he had 85 catches for almost 800 yards and 5 touchdowns, 105 targets. You think that Bijan has that type of receiving upside?
In 2022, I'm not seeing that. Where are you seeing that, Jordan?
He's going back like a couple years ago when CMC was 25 years old, Phil. CMC's 27
That was
now.
2 years ago, Phil.
Age is a thing with running backs, man. Like,
I am
when do you
not
want to
seeing
get rid of
that.
these running backs in
Where-
Dynasty?
Are we
going to ignore?
Is it including like playoff numbers?
No, it's his Panthers and Niners season numbers combined.
Oh, okay.
2022, the year he got traded.
Yeah.
Okay. That's 2 years ago. Like, that's not.
And how many yards did you say?
And Trent, you act like
2 years ago in running backs is like dog years, though. Like, it's way more.
Yeah. But CMC played like a combined 10 games for the 2 years before that. So, yes, he's played more seasons on paper, but 2 seasons he didn't even play. So he doesn't have that wear and tear on his body.
Because he was hurt, though.
And Trent, you're the guy who's talking about Derrick Henry being a top 5 running back in the NFL after having like 1,500 rushing attempts in the last 5 years, but then tells me CMC doesn't have any upside because it's his sixth year in the NFL. That doesn't make any sense.
I don't like where you have to draft CMC, Jordan, is what I'm saying. I don't want to take a 27-year-old at 1 overall. I can take Derrick Henry, a round or 2 later.
But
for a top 10 running back.
It's okay for Derrick Henry to be this old running back who has 1 million carries on his body, but you're not okay with CMC having upside because he's old? That doesn't make any sense.
I'm saying I'm not going at 1 with a 27-year-old right there. It's like you just look at historical numbers of guys that go number 1. They don't go back to back. They don't go back to back number 1.
I'm not talking about
that right now. That CMC is not the number 1 running back.
Give it to him.
I do think that he's the number 1 running back.
Throw it down.
But what I'm saying is that you
bet that he's not the number 1.
I'll bet you $100 he's the number 1 running back.
That's not the show, Jordan. We're doing buck bets. Okay. So if you want to do it, do it.
You want to? I'm trying to tell you I have some conviction. And you want to keep betting for $1, okay? So
that's fine.
But what you're saying is that Bijan doesn't have the potential upside that Christian McCaffrey does.
No,
you're also saying that, which I disagree because their stats are so close. Last year, in Bijan's rookie year, with a terrible quarterback who you self-proclaimed multiple times as a terrible quarterback.
Jordan, I had CMC at running back 3. I said I think Bijan and Breece Hall pass him.
Okay. Christian McCaffrey's rookie year, 80 catches, 651 yards, 5 touchdowns.
Was Desmond Ridder throwing him the ball that year?
It was Cam Newton.
Cam Newton pretty much is the arm of Desmond Ridder. So
no.
My whole point, Trent, is that
they were running the ball a ton because their defense was amazing.
You are knocking CMC's upside for his perceived age while proclaiming Derrick Henry's upside at the same as an older running back. It doesn't make any sense.
I said they're both top 10 running backs, Jordan. I just said CMC's not the number 1. I'm sorry for bumping a guy 2 spots down. Like, I don't know why that's the biggest thing in the world. Do you understand
I don't care about the Derrick Henry side.
I'm not saying he's falling outside the top 10.
We're arguing 2 separate things. You're not getting my point here. So I'll just move on.
Thank you.
So hold on, just to be clear though, you don't think Bijan has the upside that CMC has this year?
Not the receiving upside, no.
Okay. So are you guys going to do the buck bet or no?
Oh, how about this? I will owe you $1. I will owe you $1 for every running back that finishes higher than CMC.
Okay.
But you have to owe me $1 for every receiving touchdown that CMC has more then Bijan
Oh,
and
yes.
Brees Hall separately.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do that, but let's like I like
That's
it. Can
actually
you
a
write
good
that
bet.
down?
That's a good bet.
I simply will not write that down correctly. So can you please just, track that on your own and write that down? Just like, but last time this happened, you said if the 49ers, go to the Super Bowl, you had to do a hot chip challenge, and it like slowly changed. So I'll try to try to document this. We'll sign this. Like people heard it how they heard it, but
Sign it.
yeah, I'm okay with that. Other guys on this list here that, we just don't like. You want to go after Garrett Wilson too, Jordan? Like he's wide receiver 12. Like, I don't know.
No, I like Garrett Wilson.
Okay.
I think Garrett Wilson should be ahead of Puka Nacua.
Okay. Travis Kelce being 18. Is that too, tight end one? You like taking Kelce at, this is just the top 22. So like you like Travis Kelce at, 18 overall. That's back into the second round. I feel like that's a little rich for me. Maybe you guys like I'm not ready to. I think I'm ready to pass on Travis Kelce. Like you could get Sam Laporta after, and maybe he finishes 1 or 3. But I feel like it's the same. Maybe a little better. Like you want to go back to upside, or
we'll get there at some point. But like at some point this summer, but tight end's pretty deep. Maybe the deepest I've ever seen. So I don't know. I think waiting at tight end is even more viable this year than ever before. The guy that I have trouble with is Marvin Harrison at 22.
That seems crazy.
10 seems a little high for me, especially with like I know you like Kyler Murray to bounce back, and I tend to agree with that, Trent. But I think
22 is a huge jump.
Yeah, it's just too much. It's too high.
Are you guys like so? JSN last year, but Marvin Harrison is in a way better situation than JSN was last year. I think we could all agree with that. Like there's Trey McBride there's other guys, but like JSN had, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and it just seemed like it wasn't going to be the right spot for me. I think JSN could have a really good fantasy season this year, but like Marvin Harrison, they're saying he's just a total freak. I can't justify taking a rookie wide receiver 22 overall in a draft. Like, what's the earliest you're willing to take a rookie wide receiver in a redraft league? Is it 3rd round? Is that the earliest you're willing to do it? Is it 4th round? You really going to take a rookie wide receiver in the 2nd round? Like that seems really rich. Well, I'm not interested in taking Marvin Harrison.
These are guys, Trent. These are the guys that they have him ranked above. Nico Collins. DJ Moore, I know he's playing with the rookie wide receiver who rookie QB who has apparently looked horrible in camp so far, but like it's DJ Moore, right? We know what we're getting. Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Michael Pittman, DK Metcalf, Calvin Ridley, Amari Cooper, Chris Olave, Devontae Smith. We're talking Jaden Reed, who looks like Jordan Love looks incredible. Like Rashee Rice, all these guys like Terry McLaurin. Do we really think he's going to finish better than all those guys? I don't know. It's a stretch for me.
Jordan, would you draft Marvin Harrison Jr.? And I'm just saying that because there's not one on the list. Marvin Harrison Jr. or Patrick Mahomes? Like, just period. You know what I'm saying? You could probably get, if you want either one of those guys, you can probably draft him. And I'll ask all of you this. Are you taking a rookie wide receiver or Patrick Mahomes? And I know, like maybe the QBs, I think guys are going to start reaching on QBs a little bit with how bad quarterbacks were last year. But are you rather taking, 22 that's, back into the 2nd round? Would you rather take Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, or Marvin Harrison Jr.? You get the QB out of the way. You don't have to worry about it the rest of the season, or a rookie unproven wide receiver. Is anyone on this pod taking Marvin Harrison Jr. over the pick of the litter at QB?
No.
Jordan, what do you think?
The short answer is no. The more complex answer is probably that I'm taking a different wide receiver there. But to answer your question simplistically, it's no. I'm taking Mahomes.
Yeah, you're not taking a rookie QB over a rookie wide receiver over a quarterback, in my opinion, with how bad QBs have been. Like guys were streaming Joe Flacco last year, and Flacco was good, but just looking at your top, like looking at your top 10 QBs, like Brock Purdy at 6, Jared Goff at 7. Just once you get outside the top 10, you had Baker Mayfield at 11, Stroud at 12, Sam Howell 13. Russell Wilson finished as QB 14 last year. Derek Carr finishes 15. Like, QBs were rough last year, and I'm wondering if you guys are going to remember that going into draft season, that they need to get that good QB. Anyone else? Let's do one more, just break down this consensus if there's anyone else we can do here. And then we'll hop into some divas of the week here. Is Devontae, is that the right spot for Devontae at 21?
Yeah, I think. Well, Trent, Mike, what do you guys think about this? Because I even mentioned him. Do you think Mike Evans belongs in the top 10 before Devontae and Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Do you think that he finally doesn't get his 1,000 yards receiving this year? Like, I think he probably does. I don't know if I'm going after him, though, in a redraft.
Yeah. Just curious. He had such a good year last year.
He had so good. And I think Baker, I think he's only going to be better with Baker. So I'm going to say yes. I think Baker's just going to keep peppering him even more. Other guys,
I don't mind Devontae there, Trent.
Do you like Kamara at 19? Do you guys like Kamara ahead of?
I know.
Would you take Kamara ahead of Devontae?
I don't think I would, but again, I'm a very pro receiver over running back type of guy. So
yeah. Okay. I think that kind of does it for today's, for the consensus here, guys. Take care.
This has been another episode of the Fantasy Football Dudes podcast. Remember to rate, review, and follow. For more information, go to www.thefantasyfootballdudes.com. And remember, we are sorry for absolutely nothing.